Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another Mr. Plinkett commentary. Thanks again to Madman for letting me do this shit on his channel. So today, we're gonna watch one of the horror classics of the past. I'm talking about the Blair Witch Project. So this movie came out in 1999. I had this weird marketing campaign that used the internet to make the viewers think it was a real thing. Now, it's not a new thing as a strategy. I gotta say, there's been plenty of other sort of documentary movies that came out before this. One of the most famous ones is Man Bites Dog. But I think if I tried to do a commentary on that, even just a commentary, YouTube itself would implode into another dimension. That movie's one of the sickest, darkest things I've ever seen. And I'm an alcoholic who's killed 30 plus hookers. Anyway, I got the title call where it's like in 1994 some students tried to film something and they disappeared. Then we got the footage. So we got this kind of off-the-cuff, kind of vlog-like thing. But this is a long time before vlogs were really a common thing on the internet. You know, when this movie came out, MySpace was the equivalent of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok all rolled into one. That was all we had. Well, we also had E-Bombs World, which is basically like, 4chan but for videos. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's still around today. If it is, it's a ghost of its former self, I'm sure. So I got a couple of establishing shots that basically introduce the viewers to how this movie's gonna look. We're yet told that there's gonna be 2 cameras, but we're not just told that with exposition. Again, this is supposed to be off-the-cuff, random, improvised footage, which a lot of it actually was. In this movie, a director actually left cue cards hidden under trees for the actors. And those cue cards would just be a brief summary or kind of prompt, like a prompt from an improv class. It told them what was going to happen in the next couple scenes. So this movie's kind of like a big improv session in a way. It's kind of ahead of its time. Again, we got these scenes that kind of seem boring when you try to describe them to people. But it's charming in a way. It's like a vlog. It's like a TikTok video or a YouTube short where someone's like, top 10 things I bought at the supermarket today. But it's all woven into this grand or greater narrative about this project to look into this witch. I'm not sure how many of these interviews were scripted and how many of them weren't. Pretty sure they were all scripted. But what makes this movie interesting, again, is how it maintains this improvisational tone even when it's not improvising. It disguises constructed scenes as improvised scenes, which is pretty fucking difficult to do convincingly. And at the same time, it's able to give its actors and characters, as a project, opportunities to improvise successfully. There has to be a general vibe going on. And I hate to use that term, but it's just too applicable here, so I'm gonna use it. There's like a vibe going on with this movie, where everyone's on the same page or on the same level, and they understand what kind of thing they're making. It's not a writer's room of 23 different people trying to come up with Star Trek Picard Season 3. Instead, it's 1 or maybe 2 filmmakers who actually all understand, on the same level, exactly what they're trying to make. So then when they make that thing, it's consistent. And if they're trying to scare you, it's consistently scary. So we got this kind of pretentious-ish, kind of amateurish monologue that this chick's doing, which is completely in context in the movie. We already know these are young people trying to make a film, a documentary, which is a very difficult thing to do. And they're all really young, they're in their 20s, they got a lot of energy, they're excited, but they're a little bit naive. So when we hear a monologue that's maybe kind of cringy, where this chick's trying to sound like she's twice her age, some kind of authoritative academic kind of voice she's putting on, it makes sense when you understand that that's her character. She's an aspiring filmmaker and documentarian. That's a fine thing to aspire to. So again, those scenes where she's trying to record for the actual movie that they're trying to make, that never gets made because, they go missing. That's why she sounds like that. And then we just got this kind of smattering of just average people. Again, this is a lot like a kind of vlog where some guy would, rush up to people with an iPhone on a selfie stick like a complete asshole and try to get some kind of footage to poach views off of random people. In 1999, or 98, I guess, when this movie was made, or being made, this was the equivalent of being a selfie stick asshole. And also, they got this great footage about this chick where her daughter's trying to stop her from talking. It's a detail I've never heard anybody talk about, but it's very creepy. It doesn't seem like the daughter's been coached to do that. If she was, she's the greatest 2-year-old actor ever put on film. But if not, it means the people making this movie understood that they had something that happened randomly that in the context of the movie they're making would be interpreted as a creepy thing. This mother's trying to answer questions about a witch and her daughter's trying to cover her mouth? That's like something out of The Omen or something. Very effective to keep that. Okay, so this old man with the 1980s boomer glasses is telling them that 7 children went missing a while back. All at once. Almost like they were all abducted by a creepy witch or something. And so they're all telling their different versions of the fable. And what I love about these scenes is we just get little fragments of the fable. And some of them even contradict each other. It's like no one actually knows what really happened. It's just a bunch of legends that formed. The reason this movie is so creepy is of how, grounded it is. When a tragic event happens, people try to cope by inventing something to explain it. Even if that something is supernatural and mystical, it doesn't matter. Human beings need to make up stories about things they can't accept or understand, or they go insane. So basically, this horrific tragedy happened to this little town. And you got each individual person's version of cope. I like that word that the kids are using these days online. That's a great way of summarizing exactly what this movie traffics in. Each individual person, including the schizophrenic meth addict woman, has a different version of coping with what happened. But every version constitutes its own story. That's what this movie's really about at the end of the day. It's about how the stories we make up to explain things clash with the reality. And the problem is, sometimes the reality is a lot stranger and inexplicable than any story we could even come up with. And that's when the real horror shows its face. When reality turns back and looks at you and goes, "None of your stories measure up to me. You can't explain me. There's no hidden truth. You can't find it and you can't see it. I'm a lot darker and a lot more confusing and strange and inexplicable than any of your stories could possibly measure up to." That's when you go insane like an H.P. Lovecraft character. So anyways, rubber band back to the scene for a second. They're talking to the schizophrenic meth addict chick, and she's like, "I've been reading my Bible and also obsessing over this case for decades. And you gotta know the witch has got hair all over her." This chick's pretentious voice. It's like she's trying to put on a radio voice from the 40s, but whatever the equivalent of that was in the 90s. She's like, "Hello, I am academic, authoritative woman from 1998. And I want you to pay attention to me because of my inflection." Fuck off. And again, that's part of the movie. Again, these are energetic, naive, impulsive young people that want to make a documentary. They're eager to appeal to big film criticism authority by making something impressive. And they're putting their lives at risk to do it. And they don't even know it. Now they're having beers in the hotel room. I don't feel bad talking over these scenes, but I don't want to diminish the dialogue. It's very well done. Just 'cause I'm talking over it in this case doesn't mean it sucks. We're not watching Alien Resurrection or Alien 3. The dialogue in this is very chummy. It makes you feel like you're actually in the hotel room with these people. Like you're some kind of extra that was invited to kind of tag along. Just kind of have fun, help the group out with lighting or some other kind of crap. So again, this woman, she's very authoritative. She'd probably make a really good CEO of a company or something, 'cause she doesn't mind ordering these guys around. And she's not so much of a cunt that they don't want to do what she says. They trust her authority, they like her energy, she drinks with them. She's kind of like one of the guys, but not in a kind of try-hard way. She's intelligent and plucky. She's got energy. And she's willing to do what it takes to get a job done. To do something she's passionate about. I can respect that. Maybe if I'd found a woman like that in my life, I wouldn't have murdered 30 hookers with Raid in the crawl space under my basement. I wouldn't have become a lonely widower when my 3 wives tragically died from unexplained things. Okay, let's go back to the movie. Enough about me. So they're talking to this vampire guy who clearly needs to have a drink of blood because he's starting to wither away in front of our eyes. And the 1980s giant glasses aren't making him look any healthier. And he's with some kind of fat ass, I don't know, it's like a Samwise Gamgee kind of guy or something. Some kind of Scottish hatted guy who's trying to fish in a creek that definitely doesn't have the depth that would be conducive for getting fish. Because the water's too shallow and there's too many rocks, so you would never fish in this part of a river. I'm not even a fisherman and I know that. But anyways, this vampire and his fat gay thrall friend are giving him a little bit of lore about the Blair Witch. And they're like, okay, this chick went missing, she came back, she showed up, she was babbling something, trying to tell a story. That's a good line right there. Woman whose feet never touch the ground. That's such a haunting image. They don't get any more specific. It's just a little hint of hauntedness. And our stupid filmmaker chick's like, was it a Grey Vampire Mist? And they're like, no, it wasn't like that. It wasn't something cheesy like that, you pretentious cunt. Oh, and then they mention Coffin Rock. And then our little malnourished vampire guy with the big glasses tries to tell him, hey, let Samwise Gamgee do it. Oh, he says it's bullshit and he won't say anything else. Now they're driving into the woods, to the creepy Dante's Inferno woods area. Got abandoned barns. And I love that they have 2 cameras, because you got this opportunity as a director to say, we'll use the grayscale monochrome black and white camera for like dramatic shots, and we'll use the color camera for the more sort of character focused shots. Again, the camera that's closer to like a TikTok vlog or some kind of shit like that. That's color, because you're mostly dealing with the people interacting with each other. But then the black and white camera, it's more cinematic, it's more old school, and they use it for like environmental shit. It's a very good choice, very smart. Oh no, it looks like Heather shit her pants. Ha ha ha, how humiliating. I mean, it would be if we didn't just see her crawl through a muddy creek. That kind of gives different context to things. Anyway, now we got a black and white shot again. It's the constructed documentary that they're trying to make. And she's got this kind of, it's not a bad reading, but it's a little over-inflected. She's kind of over-enunciating, and she sounds a little bit pretentious, a little bit sharp. But she's at least, pronouncing the words better than I can. I mean, I've had mouth cancer 4 times and had it fixed, so, I got an excuse. But, again, I don't think it's cringy in this movie. Or if it is, it's intentionally so. That may sound like I'm being a bit too forgiving, but hear me out. Remember, this character is an aspiring filmmaker. She's an assertive, plucky, energetic young woman, very committed to her cause, to the point where she's got a bunch of guys basically doing whatever she tells them to. It's an impressive feat, especially in the 90s. You had to be a goth chick to order guys around back then, and this chick doesn't even have any black lipstick on. She's just really passionate about her project, and she found some like-minded people who wanted to make a thing with her, a documentary. That's commendable. I have a lot of respect for the characters in this film, and for the actors who portrayed them. They're very well portrayed, very well done. I also got respect for her dirty behind. I would lie down on Coffin Rock and have her sit on my face any day, no matter how dirty her behind was. Man, I love this guy's got his shirt over his head. That's funny. He's a druid of the woods. And you don't want to smoke cigarettes in a tent. That's a recipe for a fire. Don't do that. Camping's kind of fun. Reminds you of what sleep deprivation and too much nature will do to your brain if you're a civilized person. Then when you go back to the city, you're like, thank God. For the next couple months, you feel so much more comfortable than you did before. You realize what you took for granted. And then we get our first clue that things are getting a little bit out of hand. Because this chick's like, I can go off the map, no problem. I know where we're going. I'm an overconfident young woman with a bunch of guys doing whatever I tell them to do. I know where this thing is because I read some old books and talked to some hicks in a small town. So I'm going to send us all onto a quest straight into Dante's Inferno. Problem is, there's no Virgil on this journey. They got no guide. So they're fucked. That's what makes this movie start to creep you out. You start to see who these characters are from the little interaction scenes we got. You start to notice their flaws. We got kind of a lazy hippie guy. We got kind of an aloof, grumpy guy. And then we got our plucky, overly optimistic leader, this chick, this Lilith. And she's so obsessed with her project that she doesn't really have a sense of the dangers that she's getting into. It's hubristic, but it's not some kind of, manipulative misuse of her friends. She's unaware of it. She's just excited and focused on her project. So she doesn't notice where she's making mistakes. And that's what makes this movie a little bit tragic, too. You can actually watch these characters. Oh, they're watching her go pee. Ooh, isn't that naughty? Yeah. What are those leaves, my lovely girl? Anyways, let's get back to the film. We got to cut to black and white film here. We're filming in the sun, trying to get some nature shots, some B-roll, whatever. And again, she's so confident. She's like some kind of military leader, like a general or something. She's like, "Hup ho, troops, we're going into, somewhere. I definitely know where we're going. Just follow me. I'm obsessed with making this film, and I want to use you because you said you would follow me and let me sit on your face. So let's do it. And finally, the grumpy guy's like, do you know where the fuck you're going? I'm just saying, I'm carrying all this heavy equipment. You got all three of us here. It's clearly been more than 2 miles, so clearly you don't know what you're doing. I gotta, at least say something. She's kind of being a cunt. Again, it's not because she hates men or has some kind of extremely stupid, lame, uninteresting, frustrating, boring, contemporary political agenda to push. She's frustrated because she's obsessed with making the film she wants to make, which is something that's connected to her character. Instead of a superficial political bullshit reason to criticize her fellow filmmakers, she has a legitimate personal reason to do it. It's legitimate in her mind. And because we as viewers understand what her character is, we sympathize in a weird way. Even though we can tell she's being stupid, we understand why she's doing the things she's doing. Even though she's making mistakes, we as viewers understand the source of those mistakes. It's her personality, her obsessiveness, her eager, plucky attitude about the films she's making. So when she makes these crazy decisions, it's tragic only because we sympathize with her intentions and her aspects of her character. And those were established in the first fucking 20 minutes of this film. And my God, there's films that try to develop twice the number of characters and 3 times the amount of film time. And they never managed to do it. We're only 21 minutes into this movie and I understand who all these characters are. I even understand why they're making the mistakes they're making. It's almost like I'm watching a real film that was written by a human with an IQ above room temperature, who understands how to portray a character, including that character's flaws. Each person, at the end of the day, has their own logic in their brain. And they may call it logic or instinct or gut feeling or emotion, but it's always a combination of emotion and logic, left and right brain. But when you're a flawed character, which everyone is, even real people, there's always some kind of a confusion between when, your emotional brain tries to say that it's being logical, or your logical brain tries to fake an emotion. It's just a crisscross of hemispheres, and it never works out. And it comes across as like random weird behaviors. Most of the time they lead you off the right path. Again, a lot like Dante's Inferno. This chick's got kind of blinders on. She just wants to make her film at any cost. She cares about her friends, sure, but she suspends that emotion because her logic brain's like, just make the film. And at the same time, she's probably emotional about being lost and scared. But again, her logic brain's like, no, just make the film. Okay, let's rubber band back to things for a sec. So you got these creepy rock piles. Who could have made those? Those are kind of spooky. Flames licking you like the devil. Probably gonna regret mentioning that if you're a character in this movie. Speak of the devil and he just might show up. He's got a very low standard because he's egotistical. All I gotta do is say his name and he shows up. Now she makes Gilligan's Island reference. Oh, that's ironic. Again, this movie kind of paved the way for a lot of creepypastas on the internet that came about in the 2010s. This kind of off-the-cuff, casual, improvisational attitude. And a lot of creepypasta writers tried to replicate it in text form. And it's very difficult to do that in a text. It's 10 times harder, in fact, than trying to do it on film, which is already really fucking difficult. To have your character seem natural and not constructed in your own brain, that's a hell of a thing, man. least if you got a camera and some real people, you can give them cue cards and they might give you a performance that's actually worth keeping. That's the value of improvisation. Sure, you gotta film more and you gotta edit harder, but the things you get at the end, they're always gonna feel more genuine than something that you wrote down. And then we got a little brief moment of superstition, where our seemingly academic, authoritative, logical chick straight up kisses her hand and touches the stones like she's trying to bless them. That's our indication that she's getting scared. She's resorting to a behavior that we haven't seen from her before. She's not just the authoritative female lead, the female general, this little troop she's assembled. She's a person. She has personal fears. What the fuck? Was there a person behind that tree with their hands out? No, that's just parts of the tree. Oh, this movie fucks with my eyes. Again, I got cataracts, so forgive me if I misidentify things in this movie. So basically, they heard something in the woods. Now they're trying to figure out if there's someone making rock sculptures for them. Their voice is starting to waver. Again, this movie's so brilliant because it minimizes everything down to basically the tenor of a character's voice. Just by their voice shaking, you start to understand that something's happening. It's really freaking them out. There's no flashy CGI or crazy monsters. There's no liminal spaces, which are basically just abandoned buildings, and you zoomers are all a bunch of fucking pussies. There's none of that. It's just the woods. The primal space that shaped us out of apes. And we're lost in it again. And all this technology, it's failing us. And all the stoicism and authority of our main character, there's cracks forming in it. And this dude, he's like, I really think we're kind of starting to wander into territory where we're totally fucked. And I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of weird hillbillies living in the woods making hooch and, fucking their sisters and all sorts of creepy shit. We should probably just get out of here. Here's the smart one, the voice of reason. To be honest, if you wanted to do a super, assumptive, psychoanalytic interpretation of this film, our main character, this chick, these two guys with her, it's kind of like they represent the two sides of her brain. One of them's logical, and he's doubtful of this expedition. He understands that making the movie is a cool idea, but he's like, we're fucking lost and we should probably turn back. And the other guy, he's kind of emotional. He's like, whatever you want to do, let's just keep going. Sure, that's fine. So, they've decided to turn back already at this point. But again, my point stands. These two guys are kind of like two different parts of her psyche. You could, if you wanted to be really, really, really weird about how you interpret this movie, maybe these two guys aren't actually here. Maybe this chick is doing all this on her own. And these two guys are just representations of parts of her brain. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about that theory. When I watched this in the past, a thought crossed my mind. I was like, I wonder if these guys are even here. Maybe she's just doing this on her own. It's kind of an interesting idea. It's like as she goes deeper into the woods of hell, she has to shed these parts of her ego or parts of her intellect that are not effective. And they're represented in this film by these characters, by these people that we're seeing. That's probably a stretch. It's worth considering. Again, this movie's been floated around and criticized for fucking 30 years, so it's not a big deal to come up with new ideas for it. It's like trying to come up with new ideas for The Shining. It's well-trodden ground. So, Now they're starting to argue because the mission is failing. They're lost. They can't even get back to the car. You can barely see their outlines in this. They're ecstatic on a grainy background. Very fucking creepy. And this poor fucker, he doesn't understand how fucked he is. He's still worried about losing his job. You're gonna lose your life, you dumbass. Situation's a little worse than that. I wonder if they could have climbed a fucking tree. Okay, that's my first major criticism of this movie. If you climbed a tree, like a really tall one, got to the top, couldn't you, like, look around and, like, see which direction a road was? Because, you know, when people make a road, they usually clear trees. So from the top of a decently tall tree, you could probably tell which direction the nearest road was in. Then you just go that way. I don't know. It's pointless to suggest logical options because the implication this movie makes is that they've been cursed or bespelled. Simply trying to figure out the mystery of the witch, they have been trapped in some kind of magic labyrinth. That's one interpretation. Personally, I don't like that. I prefer the interpretation that this whole thing was just what it was. Bunch of teenagers getting lost in the woods because their leader was some overzealous, plucky cunt who led them into hell. I mean, that's scarier than there being any kind of witch or zombie or ghost. It's just human error. We create our own horrors through our mistakes. We craft our own nightmares because we're stupid. Oh, I found another dead animal. That's always a good sign. Dead animal? It's definitely a positive sign. You should probably go in that direction. Now, and earlier reminds me they panned over an infant's grave. And the whole thing with the town was that there were kids that were taken. So maybe that wasn't a deer. Maybe it was something else. In any case, characters are flailing around in the dark. And they start to hear something. Some kind of voice in the distance? What is that? Oh no, it's footsteps, but it's like a person's footsteps. I love this. This reminds me a lot of James Cameron's Aliens when the Marines are trying to navigate through the alien hive, which itself was like a dark forest filled with demons. It's 3 a.m. Uh-oh, it's the witching hour. Okay, and then they wake up the next morning. It's like a bunch of rock golems from RuneScape have taken rock shits all over their camp. Shouldn't have been AFK mining, then you wouldn't have had all these rock golems pooping near your tent. Just got a fucking rune pickaxe and beat the shit out of them, you'll be fine. What's fucked up is how calculated and quietly those things would have to have been made. I mean, really, if you were camping and you'd surveyed the area to set up your tent, which you would have to do, logically, so you would have noticed those rock things, and you didn't see any, then you wake up the next morning and there's a bunch of shit. I mean, the first people I'd be blaming are the people in my tent. I'd be like, one of you guys did this to fuck with me. I don't know. If they hadn't already seen these beforehand, that would have been the best option to explain it. But at this point, they know those things weren't built by anybody on the team. So poor Heather. She's starting to lose it, and then the map is gone. And they're starting to lose trust in the leader. Lilith or Eve or Heather or whoever she is. Sophia, maybe. Can't really do her job. She had a goal, and she got too obsessed with it, lost sight of the people that were in her care. Tisk, tisk, Sophia. Now I'm gonna worship the demiurge instead. But enough about that crap. Now here she's not wrong. Maybe somebody did take the map. And they're not wrong. She does want to film rocks. She actually still wants to complete the film. So I got this drama. What happened to the map? Who destroyed it? Who got rid of it? Who's hiding it? We don't know. So now we got back to our grumpy guy. And they're sort of joking about the situation. They're kind of, in the denial phase where they're like, we're fucked. Ha ha. Not really, but, ha ha. We kind of are. But they are. And grumpy guy knows what he's talking about. He's like, we gotta work together. Basically, he's like, you know what? I've realized the situation is serious enough that we shouldn't be concerned about late fees for returning a camera part. Or for, not showing up to your job. At this point, it's probably best to just focus on not dying. He's like, if I don't finger my girlfriend exactly at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, she's gonna notice. She's gonna be like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. The fingering schedule's been broken. I gotta talk to this guy. Oh, now they're going over a creek. Why don't you try fishing in it like those two idiots from earlier? I'm sure that this incredibly shallow creek will definitely have big enough fish to eat in it. Jesus Christ, do you even know what fishing is? Fucking idiots. Oh no, he's laughing. What's he laughing about? He's busting a fucking gut. What you laughing about? It's like you pissed your pants, lol. Basically, this guy's already cracked. He was the first to crack. And she's like, you guys actually just fucking with me because you don't like that I'm in charge or something? She's like, I'm genuinely nervous, guys. I'm not fucking with you. This poor guy's like, you're just transferring your stress to me. I can't be strong if I let it infect me. And they're both like, your ego could kind of use a bit of a lowering. Maybe your shoes should be soaked. And this dude's like, all our shoes are wet, you dumb bitch. We're all in the same boat. What, you think you're better than us or something? Oh my god, this fucking idiot. He's like, I'm the one. I just kicked it into the creek, 'cause we were already lost. Didn't matter. Stupid bastard. Marks the class, how could you kick Plinkett into the creek? That was a good bit. You should have leaned on me a little more. Now, Madman's gonna take all the credit. Ha ha ha. Now Heather loses her shit. She's like, you fucking idiot. At least you would have had a way back that was semi-reliable. Now we got fucking nothing. Oh, the men are fighting. Oh my god. Basically, this idiot lost faith in Heather, so he was like, because I've lost faith in this person, I'm gonna destroy the map. Even though any of us could have used it to navigate when Heather freaked out and got tired of trying to use it. So at least they had something. Now they got nothing. So this meathead idiot basically destroyed their way home. And from another perspective, maybe it didn't matter. Maybe if they had 10 different maps and GPS and iPhones and all sorts of shit, the witch's curse would still have wanted to kill them. We don't know. So it makes this movie so eerie. We're not sure if our characters even made the right choices. They're just making choices in the moment. They're hungry, they're tired, they're emotional. You know, their brains are all fucked up by the situation. So they make bad choices. And these two guys just stop. I love this scene. They're just like, we're demoralized, you fucking cunts. Just give us a fucking second to collect our thoughts, or we're just gonna want to beat the shit out of each other and you. Now you think you're going south. Maybe you should have brought a fucking compass. That's another obvious criticism of this movie. First of all, they could have climbed a big tree, seen where the road was. Second of all, why the fuck wouldn't you bring a compass with you? That shit's magnetic. Shows you where true north is. Probably be able to navigate a lot better if you had a fucking compass. Oh, but none of that matters now. 'Cause now we're getting into the really creepy shit. This has been ripped off by so many creepypastas and other movies, it's not even funny. But when this movie came out, this wasn't a thing. Imagine being lost in the woods. You've never seen anybody else for days. You just got the two idiot bro guys with you. And then you start seeing creepy shit sculpted and hanging in the trees. Like little voodoo dolls or 5-pointed pentagram sacrifices of people. And they're just floating there, kind of turning in the breeze. So haunting. Isn't this creepier than some kind of Victorian haunted house that you've seen a million times? I mean, that's probably what audiences thought in 1999 when they saw this. They were like, shit, this is weird. Again, it's like the alien hive from James Cameron's Aliens. The environment's been twisted into some kind of creepy, regular shapes and forms. And it's off-putting because you don't know what did it or who did it. It's just there. It's just all around you. And it was made quietly, without you being able to see it or know how it was made. Kind of grates on your sanity. Ooh, very creepy shit. So now Grumpy Guy's having a panic attack. He's like, we're fucking lost. Jesus Christ, we're fucked. Oh, it's safe to say you're lost? You've been lost for like 2 days, you dumb bitch. Well, glad you're finally able to admit it. Now, this guy says something smart. He's like, don't light a fire. Let's try to stay quiet. Because if there's some moonshine brewing, you know, cousin fucking, I don't know, hippies or hicks or whatever in these woods, you probably don't want to alert them that we're here. Oh, but then something happens. What's that sound? It's like rattling chains or something? Oh no, it's breathing. It's like children running in a soccer field and breathing heavily or something. Seems kind of hard to hear. Could never quite hear this. And the kids start laughing. It's laughing children. And they start shaking the tent. It's the ghosts of the dead children. Oh my God. Get the fuck out. Maybe it was actual hillbilly children. Maybe it wasn't ghosts. Maybe they were scared when you ran out of the tent screaming. Maybe they were just playing pranks on you by making little childish rock sculptures and stick figures. And you guys just reacted like idiots because you were malnourished and paranoid because you were lost. Again, there's a million different explanations for this movie. And all of them can be argued for pretty well, depending on the effort you're willing to put into your argument. What's brilliant about this movie is what we see is what the characters see. So we're compelled to try to react to things the way they're reacting. And they're scared as fuck. So it makes us scared. I'm soaking? What, you pissed yourself? You didn't run through a river. I guess just saying you're sweaty or whatever. It's the witch's children. They're aware that there's some fresh meat in their forest, and they're about to have a nice, nutritious meal. Yeah, maybe you should shut the fuck up. That's probably a good idea. That's probably what I'd recommend. Because they basically squat in the middle of this shitty, dead tree root kind of gulch till the morning. God, look at all the creepy vines crawling over everything. Again, it looks like some kind of alien hive. You can imagine being in these characters' shoes where you're malnourished and paranoid, stressed out. Everything would look threatening to you. Your primal side of your brain would be freaking out all the time. It'd be a very tense situation, man. That's why you shouldn't go into the woods without a GPS and an iPhone. And, maybe climb a tree if you get lost, and also don't hire a meathead idiot who will throw your map into the river. It's probably a good idea. Okay, so there's some yellow mustard ass slime on the creepy voodoo thing. So I don't know, maybe some witch thing was using it as a dildo or something. And all the clothes are fucked up, the tent's been trashed. Again, what's really happening is it's probably some kind of drunken, meth-addicted hicks living in the woods. They're just fucking with these people because they want to steal their shit. And these poor guys, they don't understand that at this point, The camera's all that's keeping Heather sane. If she can look at reality through the camera, it's not a big deal. It's like being dissociated. She's traumatized by the experience and she's using the camera as a way to, be distant from it. To pretend she's in control. These guys don't realize it because they don't have cameras. Oh, this guy's starting to realize. I know why you like this camera. Because it's not quite reality. He's starting to understand why she's using it. But he's being a prick. Because he doesn't have the same means of dissociating and coping with reality. Again, I'll remind you of the word cope. He doesn't have access to it, so he's teasing her because she does. And he's like, this guy needs to go jack off for a second. He needs some serotonin. He's feeling pretty fucked up. Just let him do what he has to do. And this guy's basically having a nervous breakdown and he's crying in the woods. We don't get to see it. Instead, we see something even more effective. We see this grumpy prick guy who threw the map away actually arguing to Heather to leave the other guy alone. We see him expressing sympathy. Oh, he's going into nicotine withdrawal. Poor bastard. That's the worst. He's like, why was there anal lube all over my clothes? That's probably because the hillbilly woods dwellers were, fucking around with it. That's probably why. Maybe they just wanted your, megalodon necklace. Just give that to them. Maybe I'll leave you alone. They've probably never seen a megalodon tooth necklace like that, or a raptor claw, whatever the fuck it is. Maybe they'd show you the way out if you gave it to them as an offering. Just be like, hey, I got this cool necklace. Can you show us how to get the fuck out of your woods? It's pretty possible in 1999. You couldn't get lost this easily in 2024, let me tell you that. Except if you go to the Headless Man Woods Reserve. It's somewhere in the U.S., I forget. There's some nature reserve that's a lot like this place. It's probably just inhabited by some Native American skinwalkers or some kind of shit. And the U.S. government has some treaty with them because they defeated every kind of military expedition into their territory. So they're like, all I want you to do is stay the fuck away. And the U.S. was like, okay. But then every so often a hiker wanders in there and dies. And they're like, whoops, must have starved to death. Maybe he was looking for the Blair Witch. Oops, he disappeared. He definitely didn't get dragged down into some underground cave system that spans the entirety of North America and is used to placate demonic cults that have had relationships with the government of the United States since its inception. Because those cults don't go away. You gotta give them a little something now and then, throw them a bone, or else they just go into hiding. It's better if they do their shit semi out in the open. It's better than them going into hiding. Yeah, but I don't know anything about that. That's just a bunch of nonsense. Do be careful if you go caving, though. You never know what you might stumble into in the underground caves. It's creepy shit down there. So now they're changing directions like morons. Surely if you went the same direction for like a week, you'd probably hit a road before you starved to death. But again, the witch's curse is interfering with logic. They went south and it seemed like they went in a circle. It's because the witch has already fucked with you. The witch lube is on your boyfriend's clothes. He's been witch raped in the night. Now this guy's filming her. He's playing a prank on her because he's tired of her being the one with the camera. And he's like, what if I film you in your moments of distress? And he's like, don't you want to make movies? You're gonna kill us for your little Dante's Inferno quest when you couldn't even get a Virgil guide to fucking lead you through the jungle? You thought you could go through it on your own with no guide? What are you, a moron? And again, funnily enough, the grumpy guy comes in and he's like, stop fucking fighting. It's not helping anything. Now they're doing watches like they're in the fucking medieval ages. They're regressing. Going back to the past to watch the shitty films that suck ass. Oh god, this kid can't resist fucking with her. This is just the effects of nicotine withdrawal. Your motivation is no one is gonna help you. Your little boy toy thralls are all going nuts. What are you gonna do now, Lilith? All the men you hypnotized are going insane and becoming inept. Was it worth it? Was it worth being the queen of hell? And all your little boy toys just dissolve into nothing around you and you're all alone? I don't think it's worth it. But I'm getting too symbolic for this movie. I'm giving it a bit too much credit. But again, it's got a lot of heavy themes in it. It's got some religious themes. You got this troop of people led by this chick with dark hair. You know. Oh god. It's hard to watch them torturing her, but at the same time, she's kind of up her own ass. She kind of did get them into this situation, even though that jackass with the Scottish shirt threw the map away. What a moron. Maybe the map wouldn't have helped, but it certainly didn't help with morale to throw it away. Probably could have kept it. At least if the map didn't work, everybody would have been equally disappointed. There would have been so much contention between the troops, rather. Now they're starting to realize, we're all stressed out and fucked up. Did some things and said some things we shouldn't have said, so you know what? I'm sorry. I was fucked up, you were fucked up. This guy's like, I really just want a Five Guys double cheeseburger. Oh, it's like crack cocaine to me. I love those burgers. And there's these great little details, and they don't feel forced. They don't feel stupid, where he's like, my mom makes mashed potatoes I really like. I'm really hungry, and I'm remembering them. Meanwhile, this chick who's used to be our military leader, she's regressed to like a traditional feminine role of sewing things. When times get desperate, women become women and men become men. And all the veneers of society and the special epic roles we try to play that contradict the biology, they all come falling down. But anyways, now Josh is missing. Oh my god. Where could he be? He's the one who had the witch blue cum all over his clothes. She was rubbing her cunt on his clothes and getting witch goop on him. That's disgusting. Where are you, Josh? Where'd you go? No shit, he hasn't come back. There's very few moments in this where there's blatant exposition with some of these lines, you know. They're a little bit much. They're held up by the visuals, though. You got this guy's dirty hands, fingernails are growing. He's been punctured by thorns and sticks. He's in the woods. Again, why the fuck didn't you bring a compass, you stupid bitch? At least then you could have blamed, some of this on the compass. Wicked Witch of the West or the East? Which way should we go? Sun rises in the east. That's where the good witch is. The wicked witch is where it sets, where civilizations collapse and die when they're helmed by incompetent women. It's the end of a civilization. That's just what this movie's saying. Ooh, man, Heather's got quite the dump truck on her. I could load a load into that dump truck any day. So this chick's an alcoholic. She's like, I want some fucking booze. And this guy's like, I just want some cigarettes. And also a big pumpkin pie. Wait, aren't pumpkins associated with Halloween and witches? Probably don't want to wish for that. Or you'll get your head chopped off and replaced by a pumpkin like Ichabod Crane. Also, when you're lit in the dark like that, you kind of look like a pumpkin. Probably shouldn't be wishing for pumpkin pie, that's all I'm saying. Oh, so now they're woken up in the night again. But this time it's not random children screaming. It's a very familiar voice. Whose could it be? Oh my God. Something about this movie comes into play here is that these actors were actually separated. And the director basically told Josh to start screaming in the middle of the night. Because believe it or not, this isn't a set. These actors are actually camping out in the woods. And part of the improvisational structure of this movie involved separating the actors. And the director basically told the actor playing Josh, you gotta go into the woods and you gotta scream at the characters at this point in the night. So you got real people acting in a film that are sleeping in a tent. And they get woken up in the middle of the night by the voice of their co-actor who's screaming for help. Can you imagine signing up for a project like this? It's fucking nuts. The logistics, the insurance type shit that you'd have to deal with in 2024. It'd be a lot harder to film something like this. And these guys did it on basically no budget back in 1999. There's probably a part of their brains as actors that's going, is this actually part of the film? Is our other actor guy actually in danger? Did he stumble into an animal or something that's hurting him? They don't know. There's an element of uncertainty that's actually real in this. Now, to what extent it's real, I don't really know. I mean, I probably figured that it was part of the film. The point is that the scenario they're put in elicits a genuine emotional reaction from them. And that genuine reaction is more valuable than $10 billion worth of Thanos purple CGI. Because it's a real person reacting in a real situation. Or a situation they believe is real. So it makes this film so unique. So fucking crazy. It's risky. One of these characters could have had some kind of panic attack for real. Somebody could have gotten injured. Or whatever. I'm sure they had crew and medical people nearby, but the point is, shit can still go wrong. Okay, let's rubber band back to the film. So, powers that be in the witch forest have left our characters a little present. It's kind of like the present James Figueras gets in the Burnt Orange Heresy. So, memento. Just a little something. Merry Christmas. I wrapped it up with a bow, and that bow's made out of the cut-up clothes of your friend. Heather's basically about to have panic attack. She's like, oh, I'm going to take this and just throw it away. I don't give a shit what it is. I love this shot of this guy. It's so creepy. He's rocking back and forth. He's basically almost in a fetal position. He's like, we're just going to keep walking. Just keep going. He's totally fried. Holy shit, this scene. Scarier than the final shot of the film. Just seeing somebody reduced to this. And Heather just comes up to him. She finally puts down the fucking camera. And she's like, this isn't sexual. You just need a friend nearby. You just need a hug. Because you're cracked, man. And he's like, yeah, I just need a hug. So now they're going to investigate what Santa Claus left him. Or I guess it's Satan Claus in this movie. Funny how those words are so similar. So they unwrap the present. What Santa left you? Were you a good boy? Or did he leave you a lump of coal? Oh, it's full of blood. Is that, like, equivalent to coal, or is that supposed to be a gift? I don't know the Christmas lore enough to know that, guys. Isn't Santa supposed to just leave you a Coke bottle? Oh, Jesus Christ, it's fucking finger bones. Okay. Oh God, her hyperventilating in this is fucking crazy. Again, I can't remember last time I watched the making of type videos about this movie, but I'm pretty sure that this was not scripted. Or at the very least, the actors actually looking at this were not told this was what they were going to find. And it's hair and finger bones. Or teeth or something. It's basically just pieces of him. Whatever force lives in this woods, probably a meth-addicted, moonshine-making kind of, group of forest-dwelling hicks. They were like, thanks for giving us a nice bit of long pig to eat while we make our hooch. That's probably what they were saying. If you interpret this in a brutally realistic way, that's all it is. Because the original killer who killed those kids, the guy who was supposed to have taken up Shaq in the witch's house, he did that a long time ago, so he's probably dead. So it's probably just somebody else who's taking up residence there. Again, that's one of the logical ways you can interpret this, but it doesn't necessarily hold any more weight than any other interpretation. That's why this movie's so great. Heather's basically on the verge of weeping. She's got this giant bag of heavy shit. You gotta remember that too. All these characters are carrying like 75 pounds of crap on their backs for like 12 hours a day, and they got no food. They got a few granola bars or something. That's all they got. So it makes this such a harrowing, brutal movie. It's like watching people slowly starve to death. And this isn't some kind of war or concentration camp. It's just two American teenagers who get lost in the woods in their own fucking country. It's how dangerous reality can be. All you gotta do is not bring a compass and not know how to climb a tree. Then you get fucking lost like an idiot. Oh, maybe she does have a compass. I guess without a map, maybe it's not as effective. I don't know. It's like maybe you could at least have memorized the coordinates of your car. Yeah, again, that's kind of a stupid suggestion. They never thought they were going to get lost. They thought they knew exactly where they were going. Again, it's hubris. We know what we're doing. We're invincible. We can do anything. Only reason I was able to kill those 30 hookers is because I assumed I was gonna fuck up at some point, so I took precautions. Unfortunately, good people don't take enough precautions. It's the evil people who take them because they know they're evil. So they plan and they prepare and they obsess. And usually they get away with it, whatever it is. But the good people are like, well, I know I'm good, so I'll just do whatever. And then they fuck up. And I got this famous scene where it's zooming in on her nostrils. And she's basically giving like a eulogy where she's crying. But the way that they cut this shot, where it shows her eyes, yes, but it also shows her nostrils, makes it look like, she's getting like a nasal exam. And one of the scary movies made fun of this, and it's funny. But if you actually care about the characters in this movie, it's kind of a fucked up scene. Not a lot of scenes like this. But trying to get into the Illuminati eyeball parasite cult, it's a pretty good dating video for that. Look at my eyeball, here it is. I filmed it for several minutes, close up. Isn't it a sexy eyeball? Don't you want to put some kind of creepy Egyptian alien parasite in my eye and rape my brain? I'm willing to do that if you give me money. I don't think that was what they intended, but yeah, you could interpret it this way. Again, there's lots of movies, you can interpret in this type of way. And this movie's an exception. You interpret it a lot of ways. She's like, I don't mind getting an adrenochrome bruise on my eyeball. I want the benefits. Personally, in my opinion, I'd rather die than get involved with any of that shit. I think those people got some serious judgment coming their way, and now is probably the worst time to join their cult. Which is probably why they're going to get more open about recruiting, because they know judgment's coming. Maybe if that judgment can be shared among more people at once, they think they're not going to get hit as hard. But they are. Anyway, enough about that conspiracy shit. Let's talk about the movie. The scene is so fucking haunting, man. This actress did a really good job. Yeah, she's dribbling snot from her nose. But if you actually give a shit about the stakes in the film, you're not going to care about some kind of visual detail like that. You're going to care about her performance, which is really fucking good. Okay, so now we cut to the next morning. And what fresh hell awaits our protagonists? It's like some kind of goat or lamb screaming in the distance. I don't know what that is. I remember one time I tried to watch this movie back when it came out with a bunch of friends. And they were just talking the whole time. I mean, I was in my 60s at the time, and late 60s if I recall. And I was at some kind of swingers party. All my friends, they just wanted to talk and drink and fuck. And I was like, why don't you pay attention to the fucking movie? It'll change your life. It's really good. And they were like, I'd rather talk over it. I was so fucking pissed off. That's why I don't hang out with people much anymore. But it's nice to talk to you guys. At least I can do some reviews and maybe a couple people appreciate. I only need like 10 people to appreciate what I'm doing. And I feel like, maybe, maybe what I've got to say still has some weight to it. I would never want a following of millions. What a nightmare that would be. Having to kowtow to a bunch of people. It's like being a slave. It's terrible. Anyways, so we're band back to the movie. This guy's doing some kind of urban exploration. That's what the kids call it these days. Of some kind of ruined house. And they're thinking this is probably the house that the murders took place in, which are attributed to this witch. But also there was a guy who apparently killed some kids. If you'll recall, when they were talking to the hick townsfolk, they were saying like, oh, some guy killed like 7 kids in a house. And he came into town and he said, I'm all finished. Creepy shit. People interpret this movie as very literal and not supernatural. That's the explanation they always default to. That this guy who killed these kids or somebody who was with him or, helped him or whatever has been continuing his work. And anytime anybody wanders too close to the house, they just get killed. The other interpretation is there is something creepy going on. And that's what makes this movie brilliant. Again, it leaves it open for you to interpret. They don't show green ghosts or explosions or CGI or any kind of crap. It's just a decrepit house. And their friend has been mutilated and kidnapped. And they're trying to find him. And there's creepy shit all over the house. There's carvings in the wood. There's bloody handprints on the walls. What the fuck? What, the guy cut off a kid's hand and dip it in the kid's blood and then make a bunch of handprints? Is that what it did? We don't know. Again, anything that we can come up with as viewers is just speculative. That's what makes this movie so great. It prompts you to speculate. It actually imparts creativity upon you, the viewer. It says, what do you think happened? And it gives you enough little visual cues that you start to actually get creative like the filmmakers did when they made the film. As creepy as this film is, the filmmakers are using it as an excuse to transfer creative impulses to you. They're like, why don't you create something in your own brain that would scare you the most? That's what makes this movie so fucking good, man. Again, if you recall, this killer guy used to make one kid stand in the corner and face the wall while he killed the other one. I didn't do that with the hookers I killed. I just blasted them with a raid. I wasn't interested in performance or forming a legend. But that's what this final shot's referencing. Here we go, he's staring at the corner. Just pissing in the corner, poor bastard. And Heather gets hit over the head by some kind of hick. Probably gets chopped up into long pig and roasted over a fire. And that's the end, ladies and gentlemen. Most famous horror movie of all time. Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez, good fucking job. You put James Wan to shame, in most cases anyway. Anyway, guys, that's basically it. It's just ending credits now. Also, please don't, for the love of God, watch any of the sequels to this. The second movie to this, it's fucking embarrassing. It's not even worth making fun of. And then the revival movie that they made like 2 or 3 years ago, where they tried to argue that the Blair Witch was like an alien. Oh my God. I'd rather be butchered in the basement in this film than have to watch those ones. So we're not going to do that. Ever. You shouldn't waste your time. Just rewatch this every couple of years. You'll enjoy it more every time. Firstly, because you would have forgotten what you've seen a little bit from last time you watched it. And secondly, you probably notice another couple details that you didn't notice the first time. It's always the case with movies like this that are well made. There's things left for you to notice. Anyway, thanks again for watching another commentary. I appreciate your viewership. I hope you're doing well. Look out for more videos from this channel, because RLM sure as fuck isn't making any more commentaries with my presence associated with them. Anyway, take your vitamin P and watch out for witches in the woods. Ooh, spooky. Till next time, guys. Peace out.